Well, happy Monday. It's time for 5-Minute Revival. And this week we're making the transition from our personal revival into corporate revival. But today is the Hinge Day. And I want to remind you of some things that are important that we talked about yesterday. Many of you weren't able to be there, but I want to make sure that everybody gets this message to heart, because it's more than just a sermon to listen to. It's a path to follow. And we talked about raising our thermostat. And I find this, many Christians, church-going Christians, have no plan for their growth or life. In other words, they know what they believe. I mean, they think they know what they believe. They believe in Jesus, and they say they believe the Word. But if we're not employing that, and if we're not practicing that, then there is a little bit of a problem that we have to address, and I want to help you address it. As a matter of fact, that's my role as pastor and teacher and shepherd, is to bring the sheep into the herd all together and say, let's go over here. Let's go do this. Let's go to this pasture and feed. And so in that mindset, what I want to do is I want to talk to you just for a few moments about where you are. Now, if you're a believer, in other words, if you say you believe in Jesus, but you don't have it down to follow the way of Jesus, you're still, not understanding the way of Jesus, you're rebellious. If anybody tries to correct you or anybody tries to bring correction into your life, you immediately bow up and you say, leave me alone, I'm not going to do that. Or as somebody that I ran into here in Georgia, they say, oh, well, you're just judging me. That's so ridiculous. Most people that say you're judging me have no idea what biblical judgment is. And so what we are called to do is exhort and encourage and edify, build up, and bring attention to the things that need to be brought attention to. So I want to say, if you're a believer, then here is a plan that I'm going to loan to you. I'm going to give it to you, rather, for you to work for 90 days. Because if you're a believer and you want to become a follower, you can't just start trying to do the right thing. You've got to know the why. So you've discovered the idea of Jesus. You've discovered the offer of salvation. But now you get to know Jesus. You can't really know him until after you cross that bridge of belief. And so what I did is I came up with some things that I think are very beneficial to you. And the first thing is a prayer. And you just pray this prayer over your life every day. And you say this: Father, guide me to you, guide me in you, and guide me through you to experience Jesus. You just pray that. Pray for guidance, pray for wisdom to know what to do, and get to know God. There's this idea of falling in love with Jesus that is preeminent. And it's going to be on the screen, but I want you to read over the next 90 days, as multiple times as you can, the Gospel of John, the letter from Paul to the Galatians, the letter from Peter, 1 Peter, his first letter to Christians in the way, and then the first letter of John. And those are easy reads. You can do the book of John. If you read one chapter a day, you can do it in 3 weeks. If you read 3 chapters a day, you can do it in a week. And then when you go to Paul's letter and Peter's letter, those are very, very easy reads. And John's you can probably read in 15 or 20 minutes. So read those over and over. What it does is it gives you a baseline of understanding the heart and the mind of God in Jesus. And then the third thing you do is you find a partner, somebody else that's a believer. So here's what we're going to do in the next couple Sundays. We're going to say, if you want to become a follower and you're a believer and you need a partner, because we're not meant to do this together, we want you to put your name in the hat, and me personally is going to I'll talk to you and give you the option of a couple partners, and then you guys can get in touch with each other and talk once a week about your experience, about your reading, about your prayer, about your insights. If you're a believer and moving to follower, if you're trying to follow the way of Jesus and you already are in love with Jesus and you feel the love of Jesus and you feel the presence of Jesus, but you really want to get deeper in the way, then I want you to pray for revelation. There's a prayer in Ephesians chapter 1, the last third of the chapter, it'll say, I'm praying this. I'm praying for a spirit of wisdom and revelation in the knowledge of you, in the knowledge of God, in the knowledge of Him. And I want you to pray that prayer all the way through the bottom of that chapter. And just pray that prayer over yourself, I'd say 2 or 3 times a week. And just, it's that simple. And then I want you to read the Gospel of Matthew, which will take you 4 weeks to read if you read 1 chapter a day. And remember, we're doing this for 3 months. And then read the book of Romans, which, if you read 1 chapter a day, you can be done with it in a couple of weeks. It's 16 chapters. And then read the book of James, which is the brother of Jesus, his very, very practical sampling of life with Jesus. And then find 3 to 5 partners that you can call a life transformation group. Guys with guys, women with women. We're going to go a little bit deeper in that in February, offering that. So just get started on your own, and then we're going to move forward. And then if you are following the way of Jesus, you're giving in biblical proportions, you're serving biblically, you're praying biblically, you're in the Word biblically, then you want to move to discipleship, where you're influencing somebody else. And then you pray for effective connections. You read both 1st and 2nd Corinthians, 1st and 2nd Thessalonians. That gives you a really good, solid biblical definition of living. And then Revelations chapter 1 through 3 and chapter 22 to give you a little bit of an understanding of how we are to pay attention to ourselves and what the ultimate outcome and the ultimate reality is going to be. And then throw in for good measure the book of Proverbs. 31 chapters, you can get through it in a month. So we're talking about a 90-day plan here. And then I want you to offer to somebody to be their discipler, excuse me. And I'll teach you how to coach somebody by meeting with them once a week on the phone or in person. It's up to you, up to however your way goes. And you meet with somebody that is a believer in wanting to become a follower, or a follower wanting to become a discipler. And there's a series of asking questions. You don't advise, you don't counsel. You help that person discover how to listen to the Spirit of God. So, hope that's good for you. I'll see you tomorrow right here on 5 Minute Revival. Today we went 7.5. Ha ha ha. Tricked you. Bye-bye.